Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a really special episode. This is actually my friend's podcast episode where she interviewed me, and I'm posting it here on my podcast as well because I think this conversation is just so good. It's so juicy. It has so much valuable information about emotions, processing your emotions, navigating your emotions, especially the really big ones in entrepreneurship, like rejection, when people aren't buying. How do you alchemize those emotions into power? How do you regulate? How do you feel? How do you experience the most painful sensations in your body and continue on? This is a really, really important part of the work I do as an entrepreneur. And I believe that my friend Nicole really asks some great questions and follow-up questions. And some of our conversations in this episode, I think, can change the entire inner game for you. And I really want you to be able to listen in on that. There is trigger warning. I do mention my past self-harm addiction as well as suicidal ideation. So just be warned that we do cover that as well, not in depth, but that is around the middle of the episode. But yeah, this is a really, really in-depth conversation about emotions and emotional intelligence and regulation as an entrepreneur, which I believe is one of the most crucial things that we can have as entrepreneurs, as our superpower, is to be able to know how to navigate our emotions and continue to go on as a leader, to pick ourselves back up and not to suppress, not to push aside our emotions, but to really actually lean into them and how we get to do that. I believe this is a really, really powerful episode for that reason. And I'm really excited for you to dive in and listen. My friend's podcast is Get in Your Feelings, and she has some really great episodes over there as well. So you can reach out to Nicole, but also, DM both of us and let me know your thoughts about this episode. I would love to hear what comes up for you around your own emotions. I love having conversations with you all in the DMs. So please feel free to reach out anytime from all of my episodes. I love having conversations with you all about what this activates within you, because this is really where we get to deepen that work. So I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy this special episode.
Hey, what's good, y'all? I'm back for another episode, and I'm so excited because I have my dear friend Tiffany here. She is an Asian American, queer, ADHD, single mom, CEO, running a global brand that specializes in business coaching and education for women entrepreneurs, primarily women of color who are in their soul's deepest calling. She serves coaches, service providers, and creatives who desire to expand their impact and income through growing as the whole woman and building a movement. So, welcome, Tiff. I'm so excited. Like, we've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. So, I'm really excited to have you
Yeah.
here.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the podcast. I'm so excited to be the first guest. We have planned some amazing questions, and our conversation today is going to be so good. So I'm excited to dive in, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. So usually when me and Tiff have our talks, we're always like, this could just be a podcast. So I'm so excited that we're actually on a podcast
Yes.
today, and it could really just capture all our thoughts. And yeah, we'll just have a few questions set up, and then we'll just kind of like piggyback off like how we usually have our conversations all the time. And
Yay.
this is get in your feelings. So we're going to be talking a lot about our emotions and our feelings, especially as women of color and women of color entrepreneurs. And I know that you've built and you run a very successful coaching or just business in general, and not even just successful as in financial terms, but just successful in like a holistic way. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get into that. And by holistic way, I even mean like regulating your nervous system and being able to feel your emotions and being able to manage your emotions.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we can just go straight into it. And I think the first thing I want to ask is what is maybe your biggest lessons around processing your emotions as an entrepreneur and even just as like a entrepreneur who is a woman of color and a single mom and everything that I kind of introed earlier.
Yes. So some of my biggest lessons around processing my emotions has to do with really being able to, I think one of the biggest things that came up for me these past several years is being afraid of my emotions. Like I was raised as a child to not create any space for my emotions. Anytime I would try to bring up my emotions with my family, with my parents, I was always seen as too sensitive, too emotional. And so that, of course, led into my adulthood with relationships. And of course, with my entrepreneurship journey, it was like, why am I feeling these things? Let me try to not feel these things and let me try to push them aside and just get the things done that I needed to get done. I
Mm,
was very much in my wounded masculine, especially that first year of business. It was like very focused on action taking. We grow up in a very hustle focused society. So for me, one of my biggest lessons has been literally the name of your podcast, like getting in my feelings, actually creating space for it, not just like quickly bypassing. I
mhm,
saw this really great quote that I saw on Instagram the other day that was like, don't get so caught up with like just like now we have so many energetic release methods to like
mhm, mhm,
move our emotions, but you want to also make sure that you are feeling and processing them as
mhm,
well. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons is like it is okay. Like my feelings aren't here to scare me and they aren't here to make anything worse. Like it's very uncomfortable and there's a lot of discomfort. And for me, it's been about being able to expand to actually hold more discomfort
mm,
versus let me try to bypass and distract and move it away as quickly as possible or try to prevent it as much as possible. It's
mhm.
like, okay, here are my emotions and here is how I can actually hold more space for them.
Yeah, as you were like talking in the beginning, the word that kept coming up was bypassing, and then you
Mm,
said it. So,
yeah,
yeah, I feel like especially as women of color in our businesses, like you were saying, we've been really raised to just emotionally bypass and then just to kind of like ignore and keep working through the pain, working through the sickness, working through everything, because it's like that's usually what we saw our parents do.
exactly.
And usually many of our parents, they're either first gen or second gen or yeah, and they had to do that. So we see that and it's even like subconsciously like, oh, I see that my mom or dad works 24/7 and they've been able to be successful somewhat.
Hmm.
So it's like that's the blueprint that I should follow. And no one even has to say anything.
Yeah.
It's just like you see that. You see that your parents don't rest. You see that if they want to cry or they're emotional about something, they kind of like ignore it or like I don't know
Hmm.
about with you, but like with my family, like as Filipino Americans, like we don't really talk about our emotions at all
Yeah.
and we don't even really apologize or
Yeah.
it's just kind of
It's
like
just here's a bowl of fruit.
yeah, it's kind of like, oh, here's your dinner, like
Yeah.
or like
Food as
what
apology.
do you want to go like to the store or
Yeah.
something? Like a little like branch, a little
To break
olive
the
branch to
silence.
break the silence, but it's like not really getting down to the
Yeah.
root of what happened. And that 100% can translate to our businesses because when we feel uncomfortable emotions in our business, which we all have and you have, I'm very certain, it's like we're we're not getting down to the cause and then it just keeps
Hmm.
coming up and coming up.
Exactly.
And then as the business grows and grows, the emotions keep building up and building up as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think over time, like all of this unprocessed emotions just they store in our body, and they store and store and store. And
Yeah.
not only that, we're not actually because I see feelings and emotions as little messages that want to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are we not feeling and processing them, which can cause literal physical illness in our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
we're also not listening to the messages and the nudges from our intuition and our body that are meant to be guiding us, that are meant to be bringing us specific messages that we may need in order to evaluate and then take next steps from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is your like most common emotion that comes up?
Disappointment.
Oh, I was gonna explain a little bit more, but she said disappointment.
No, it's for
Wow. Okay.
sure disappointment. It is like I yeah, I feel it constantly, right? As I think that we all do, but for a long time I would like feel the disappointment and then shame myself for feeling disappointed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of my business I spent time looking at other entrepreneurs and other mentors or peers in the space. And social media can be such a highlight reel where it's like you see other people's achievements, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to share that. We want
Yeah.
to celebrate ourselves, right? And I do that as well. And I really try to make an effort to share the behind the scenes that people may not see, because that is just the reality of especially online business, is
Mm-hmm.
like you see everyone and then you start painting this picture that like, am I behind? Am I not on the right track? Do I need to be making this amount of money in this amount of months for me to even call myself successful?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have such a skewed representation, and there needs to be a level of perspective. So for me, through launches, through selling, through putting myself out there, being rejected, just everything that comes with running a business, I've managed a lot of disappointment, and I've really had to learn to create space for that.
Yeah. How do you think you've widened your capacity to feel the disappointment? Because I know you mentioned that earlier, and that's something that I'm really big on too. When we're feeling our emotions, is widening the capacity to feel the emotion, or else we're just gonna be filled with that emotion and it's too much to
Hmm.
carry.
Yeah. So I love reminding myself that when you actually sit and feel an emotion, it only lasts about 90 seconds or
Yeah,
so.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, which is
I forgot about that.
it's so crazy because it doesn't feel like it literally feels, because when I feel disappointment, I feel like, oh, this is just how I'm gonna feel
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
My brain's very dramatic, and it just creates this sense of like, am I always going to feel this way? And then what does this mean about me? And then what does this mean about my business? And then what does it mean about what's possible for me? So what I've done is I literally see disappointment. It's kind of this like long, lanky, shadowy figure, and it
Mm-hmm.
has like a hat. And I literally imagine like opening the door for it and like welcoming it into my brain and my body, like opening the door, letting it into the home, and then like making it a cup of tea, or
Mm-hmm.
like giving like checking it into a room and
Mm-hmm.
just saying like, you can stay as long as you'd like. And I find the more that I try to shove disappointment out and slam the door in its face and leave it like out on the street, the more it's like banging on the door, slipping in through the cracks, like the more it feels, and the heavier it feels.
Yeah.
And the more I've just allowed it to come in and like, okay, you're safe here, you're welcome here, I'm gonna let you stay here as long as you'd like, the more just I find that disappointment stays, and then it just like checks itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I totally resonate with that, and I was just talking about that with my therapist
Hmm.
surrounding grief. And it's funny because like we'll do all these visualizations about like creating these emotions and visualizing and manifesting for the things we want and
Yeah.
like the feel good emotions and things.
Hmm.
But for the uncomfortable emotions or the heavy emotions, a lot of time we don't create that same space for it.
Mm.
And she recommended me this exercise. I forgot what it was called, but basically like visualizing that maybe you have a little box, and this was surrounding grief, but it could be any emotion, like when you said disappointment.
Hmm.
So like you're visualizing yourself, you go in the closet, you have a little box, and there's like disappointment in there, and it has all the things you're disappointed about, and you can take the things out and you can look at it, feel it, all of that. And then once you're ready to put it away, you put it back in the box, you put it in the
Oh.
closet, and then you can even walk out the door.
Yeah.
So it's like you're making space for it so it doesn't have to like flood you the whole day. Because I am like that. Like when I get sad, I get really sad and it'll
Yeah.
like ruin my fucking day.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that and making space, and it really does make a difference. And the 90-second rule is like, I remember when I started doing this, or I even talked about this with clients, it doesn't feel like 90 seconds sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes it is longer, but I will
Yes.
say it's longer because you just started practicing it. So
Yeah.
you can't go from being sad for like days to like 90
Hmm.
seconds. It might even be like a few, like if it's really up there and you haven't processed your emotions or felt
Yeah.
them, it could be for hours. It could
Yeah,
be
for
for
sure.
minutes, right?
For
But
sure.
I think the goal is to just like lower the time frame. And
Hmm.
once you get to practice it, it will only last a few seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I find that it lasts longer when I am trying to like suppress and distract and do something else
Yeah,
and hope that it just goes away versus like actually just sitting and leaning into it. There's
yeah.
like a moment where I could lean in and maybe I need to cry and maybe I
Hmm.
need to like go in my car and scream. I do a
Yeah,
lot of car screaming.
same
Or
here.
like in my notebook, in my like journal, just like writing out how I'm feeling or calling up a friend, like
Yeah.
being able to like find a way, right? But like also not doing any of those things to just like, but also just like sitting, like literally just sitting and feeling it.
Yeah.
And then like,
Which is fucking hard. Which is
which
simple but
is
hard.
so, yeah, it is hard, right? And I think for me, it's like a lot of the times it's like I feel it and then it like overwhelms me because I'm either with Alaska, right, my daughter, or I'm like I need to get to like the next thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
like helping and then, sometimes I feel the disappointment or whatever dysregulated emotion through my daughter. So it's like I have to help her regulate and then I have to regulate,
Yeah.
right? So it's like I don't have the time to just sit for minutes and minutes and minutes sometimes when I'm with her. It's like I have to be able to do that in a way where it's like, which almost I feel like forces me to like get into like the depth of it when I can because I know that I don't want it to carry on,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
which is hard. It
Yeah.
is so hard. Like shout out to all the parents regulating with kids. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine because it's hard for me to regulate with no kids.
Yeah.
So I can imagine another layer of not only someone else there, but someone that like you birthed and was a part of you.
Yeah.
And I know that when you have children, like you just can never separate, like
Yeah.
emotionally, energetically. So when they're there, I can only imagine how much challenging it
Yes,
is.
because then you're helping them regulate, but then you also need to regulate.
Yeah.
And then it's like sometimes you'll regulate and then they do something that dysregulates you
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And it's literally just a constant cycle of dysregulation,
Yeah.
regulation, dysregulation, regulation, sometimes within the same hour,
Yeah.
multiple times within the same hour. And it's just, that's just parenting.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Where do you think or where do you think, or do you know where you feel disappointment in your body?
Yeah, I feel it mostly in like the chest area. So it
Mm,
feels like heavy. And then I will like kind of move the energy with my hands, and I'm also a Reiki practitioner, so sometimes I'll like physically just kind of move
yeah.
the energy, or like energetically I should say.
Hmm.
And then I can kind of tell when I'm starting to like it's harder to take like full breaths. That
Mm,
sometimes shows up for me when anxiety is present as well.
yeah.
And so I like to kind of drop into my body and just envision like, okay, what does it look like in my body? What shape is it? What texture is it? And just kind of like speaking to what it needs.
Mm,
Almost like having a dialogue with the disappointment sensations
hmm.
within my body.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. I think this is really helpful for those who, for anyone who is in the work of processing and feeling their emotions, but especially for those who just started or haven't even done it.
Hmm.
Because I know, like, when I first started feeling my emotions, it's like you want to run away.
Yeah.
You don't even know how to do it actually. Like, your most parents didn't teach you.
Yeah.
It's not like they taught you this in fucking school either.
No.
Like, it just baffles me, the school system we have, and like
Yeah.
that's another topic we always talk about. But yeah, I think, and you really touched on something earlier about like not shaming yourself.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's a big cycle that I do, and I find that I think is pretty common is that we'll shame ourselves for shaming ourselves
Yeah,
for whatever emotion we're feeling.
right.
And I always like to remind myself that there's no good or bad emotions. The emotions are there to, just like you said, they're like signals for us. And yeah, I think once you kind of remove the negativity from the emotions and just allow yourself to kind of see it as maybe like an outside person from the situation, and kind of I know it's hard, but like kind of detaching and be like, well, I know I'm feeling this, or I might be feeling this, I'm feeling this and this way in my body, and just being curious, I think is what's really big too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just helpful to remind ourselves that emotions come on a spectrum,
Yeah.
right? And there aren't negative emotions, but there are, of course, emotions that make us feel really, really, really uncomfortable,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And can feel like physical pain manifested through the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like grief is one of them, and heartbreak is one of them,
Yeah.
right? And it can feel so physical and real, and it's the reason why so many people that we see numb with
Mm-hmm.
alcohol and addiction and sex and love and all of these things to kind of fill what we think is going to make us feel whole again.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, it's just a whole bunch of suppressed emotions, just like anyone who's seen Inside Out 2, like shoving them in the jar and throwing them onto the
Mm-hmm.
other side. Right.
So good, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it's such a good
I'm
movie.
like,
We both
how?
highly recommend
Yeah,
it.
like, how are you in like my mind, in my body? Like, it's
Yeah.
fucking crazy,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
was
so funny.
so well done, and all the visual representations of the emotions and
Yeah.
all that we do with the emotions is so real. And yeah, it's like our natural response is to suppress. And in a way, it makes so much sense. It's like, this is so painful. I
Mhm.
don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
Go away. Right. And it's like we have to rewire our entire thinking, just like you said earlier about how
Hmm.
it gets a little easier in some
Hmm.
ways, right? And a little bit quicker
Hmm.
to do this, not perfect, but a little bit more efficient when you've been doing it, because it's like, okay, I know what needs to be done. It still doesn't feel good,
Hmm.
but I now have a routine. I have like a protocol, right? So it's like, I know I will feel better if I do XYZ.
Mm.
And sometimes it helps to just feel, because we're not always feeling like, even though it is the same emotion, sometimes it shows itself differently based on different situations
Hmm.
or different triggers or different people and experiences. And so being able to just drop in and ask your body what it needs, and even that part, that sensation of you that's feeling very activated, what it needs
Mm.
from moment to moment, because it's not always going to be the same thing every single time. Uniquely, what does your body need in this exact moment to regulate and come to a place of center is also really important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have like so many things I want to like ask, but there's like so many at once. Um, what do you think was your go-to like numbing or bypassing with your emotions, whether it be like in your personal life or even just like within your, I mean, it's all connected. If it's
Yeah.
your business, or anything. Yeah, what do you think it was or is still? Because I mean, we all emotional bypass sometimes, and it is needed. Like, it's a survival
Yeah.
technique sometimes. Like, you're so overwhelmed, you're so sad, you're so frustrated, you're so
Yeah.
anxious. Like, you physically cannot interact with it in that moment, which is
Yeah.
okay. I always like to highlight, like, just go back to it later when you can.
Yeah.
Whether it be a few minutes, a few hours, or the next day, but like, you just can't ignore it forever, of course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it depends. So if I'm like feeling super activated, um and I have the space, I feel like I've gotten to a place where I can't really do anything until I process it.
Hmm.
So I've gotten pretty good at like processing it right away. In the past, I've had really bad, I shared about this a little bit on MySpace,
Oh, not
online,
MySpace.
not MySpace, but in my spaces with my people. But I had a self-harm addiction for years. I think I told you this, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I haven't talked about it much, and it's been a really long time. I've been clean for 10 years. So the last time I did it was when I was pregnant with Alaska.
Mm.
And I remember in junior high, especially when I was going through so many different hormone changes and emotions, I would feel these such strong powerful emotions that I didn't know how to control. And because I wasn't taught how to control them, and because my family wasn't a safe space for me to express them, and I was feeling these things like jealousy and anger and frustration and abuse in my relationships, the only way I felt like I could possibly like express this without exploding was to
Mm-hmm.
take it out on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We'll have to do trigger warning for this episode. But yeah, it was the only way that I felt like I could even like navigate the pain was to create pain within me. Right? It was
Mm-hmm.
almost like I was feeling so much pain internally. I wanted there to be a reflection of it physically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not logical. It didn't make any sense and it was extremely painful. My parents never knew about it. But whenever I felt like this huge outburst of emotion that I didn't know how to experience, I didn't know how to navigate, it would lead to suicidal ideation or some type of self-harm. And it wasn't until years and years and years and lots of therapy, and lots of self-work to get
Mm-hmm.
to a point where I could feel the emotion and not grab for like something to hurt myself with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you've shared that with me, and I know you said you've shared it a little bit online, but yeah, I know it's even it doesn't matter how much time has gone.
Yeah.
It's still like you feel it a little. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
for
Because even as you're
sure.
talking, I feel a little in me about like the stuff I used to do. Of you
Yeah.
just talking about it, like it
Yeah.
reminds me of what I used to do to them.
Yeah.
So it's still a feeling that you have in your body, even when you talk about it later in life.
For sure.
But it's not like the same feeling. It's just
Hmm.
like a little reminder of like,
Yes.
that happened, you
Yeah,
know?
for me it's like I look at that younger version of myself and I'm like, oh, it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
But also I think it was such a big catalyst for healing that I got to a point where I was like, there's got to be another way to deal with this, and it did trigger a lot of healing for me and spiritual growth and awakening,
Yeah.
which is good,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. And I find that with many people in my life or just in our spaces who have created something beautiful with their life or transformational,
Hmm.
it's always because of something that happened in the past that was
Yeah.
like a driver. And it
Yeah.
sounds like this was like one of it, especially when you were pregnant with Alaska and just becoming a single mom at that
Hmm.
age. I'm sure it all played into the story.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting into it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I want to ask you next. So there's a thin line between firmly holding belief in your dreams, your goals, and your manifestations with your business and even your life, and also acknowledging like your current emotions and not avoiding them. Which is like, I have this vision, I have this goal, I have this dream, I have this manifestation. I need to feel it and believe in my body. And there's also a part of that that's like, well, I also feel like these uncomfortable emotions too. So how do you navigate? How do you hold both of them or juggle them or just like make space for them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the first thing I want to share that comes to mind is like you can create a beautiful life while navigating depression, navigating anxiety, navigating emotions that feel terrible, and feeling sad. Like life is 50-50, right? Like you're going to feel uncomfortable emotions pretty much 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time you're going to feel pretty good, right? And during a day, like I know for me, like I'm such a big feeler, like I can in the morning be like, "Oh, I'm so excited about this thing and feel so good." And then by noontime something happens, I'm feeling and processing disappointment. By the afternoon, something maybe has happened with my team or a client, right? And then there's some type, or maybe I'm online and someone leaves a comment that, I have no idea who this person is, right? And they say something about me, right? Or something happens within my family, right? It's like I believe that emotional intelligence is not getting to a high vibe state 24/7. It's learning how to hold and create space for all of these emotions all at the same time. Because think about it, when your business grows, it's not that things just get easier and easier and easier, right? In some ways, sure, there is more efficiency, your team is growing, right? There are more things, but also you have to hold more instead of just 10 clients who are all happy with your work and maybe one person here and there isn't. Now you've got 1,000 people and 100 people are back. Like, think of it, if you have like a monthly subscription, right? You have some people going like, oh my God, I'm going to stay in this forever, this is the most amazing membership ever. And then there is a level of, oh, I'm going to back out, right? This is something that I don't want to be a part of anymore for XYZ reason, right? And so it can just feel so activating, and we really have to be able to navigate multiple emotions. We're multidimensional people. We're not meant to be one-sided. We are not meant to just hold one thing at one time. We are here to hold multiple emotions at the same time. So when it comes to your question of like creating that dream life, because a lot of it is feeling, and I do teach manifestation, and I do focus on the feeling state because it is so important. I think it's important to know that you can process what you're feeling and continue to release any thoughts and narratives and the associated emotions that are not serving you, while also stepping into the life you want to create, right? It's kind of similar to like people who want to manifest more, but yet are told to be grateful for what they have. And I love this quote from Melanie Ann Layer, and she says, you have one foot in gratitude and you have one foot in desire. So you're always moving forward. If you have 2 feet in gratitude, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you have 2 feet in desire, you're also not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But you are deeply, deeply gratuitous for what you have in this moment. And yet you have the ambition and the grit and the determination to create something that has never been created before. And that's desire. We don't need $1 million. I didn't need to create a 7-figure business, right? I didn't need to have like certain things. My daughter and I don't need to go on vacations and travel the world. I want those things, and I get to want those things, right? And I think part of wanting those things, like you said about the dream vision, which most of you listening to this podcast, right, and following Nicole, you have a dream vision for your life. It's why you work with her or want to work with her. It's why you desire to invest in coaching and to build yourself, right? It's because you see this version of your life that can be something so beautiful. And at the same time, you are a human being, right? And so it's not about trying, again, I think there's a level of this where we can bypass, or we think we need to bypass our emotions to just feel good all the time. In fact, to create the dream life, it is how deeply can you process and hold the emotions you're feeling right in this moment, right? I think that there's this like spiritual bypassing culture that we've kind of created through manifestation, or I would say the lack of the misinformation of manifestation, which is just that you have to feel good all the time, right? And that if you have any bad feelings, then it's going to hinder your manifestation. And I actually think the opposite is true. The more that you can process your emotions and deeply feel your emotions, the more that you can choose different emotions and be able to choose to be happy and to choose to bring in different sensations. And you can only do that and create more desired felt states through processing current emotions.
Yes.
Right? They both happen simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you were saying, how can you create the desire or even be able to receive the desires and wants that you want if you're not holding and receiving what you have right now and processing the emotions that you're having right now in your life in this moment are there in this moment. And if you can't hold and process that now, how can you hold and process all these other big emotions and circumstances that are going to come with these bigger wants and visions and manifestations you have for yourself? Essentially what you're saying, right? Yeah, I think even just how you're saying processing both of them, like what I like to do is doing my journaling or whatever of like the things I want and like the goals and manifestations. And it's also really important to also just acknowledge like what's happening right now. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could even speak on that with maybe even launches,
Yeah.
or even like I'll say quote unquote failed launches.
Hmm.
Um, because it's like you have to hold that belief and
Yeah.
still process like, oh, I have to really process that I didn't meet the goal I wanted to have, or
Yeah.
I didn't get X amount of signups, or it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. And I still have to also have belief for this next launch or continuing the launch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say even mid-launch as well,
Yeah.
right? If there's like 3 days left and maybe you're not close to your goal, right? You can easily be like, oh, well, it's done, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's over, it's done, the launch has failed. Or you can look at it as like there are 3 days left. There's so much time. There's so much that I can create, and you can source that level of magnetism and inspiration that really fires you up instead, right? You have options here. It's not just, oh, it's done, right? I think so many of us like, and this is where the emotional intelligence comes into play, and this is, I believe, a skill that we get to cultivate and strengthen over time, right? Is that you don't just look at these emotions and go, oh, this is too hard, I'm feeling too much disappointment and rejection all at once, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs do.
Mm-hmm.
Is like they put up two stories and they throw up a link, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they post a carousel and then they're like, I launched, no one bought, I'm a failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like we do this so often because we don't actually go all in, because a part of us is afraid of the emotions we'll experience.
Yes.
Right? It isn't even so much the outcome, it's like the outcome that creates the emotions that we are afraid to feel. So the more that you are able to expand your capacity to feel, the more risks you can take as an entrepreneur, meaning the more success you create,
Yeah.
right? Your tolerance for risk, your tolerance for uncomfortable emotions expands. And then as a byproduct, your business, your growth, your sales, your revenue, your soulmate clients that you attract also expand exponentially.
Yeah. Yeah. All of that. And then also like not making it mean anything about you.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, especially when you were saying like posting a few stories, a link, whatever, and kind of avoiding the outcome. Like you're just avoiding the emotions that's going to come with it, and avoiding the emotions, and also avoiding like, oh, does this mean that I'm a failure?
Yeah.
Does this mean that I'm a disappointment?
Yeah.
Does this mean that I'm not gonna receive or achieve anything that I've been working so hard to do?
Yeah.
So I think just making space for all of that.
Hmm.
That's the important part, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important, right? Especially during a launch when there's lots of emotions coming up and you have so many different options, and maybe you're being rejected and hearing more no's than yeses. It's like
Hmm.
you really get to attach the meaning or no meaning or just see it as neutral, right? Like when people like you can even take a no and be like, "Okay, I'm one step closer to
Yeah.
a yes." Right? Like it just depends on the way that you choose to believe, right?
Yeah.
Like for me at this point, I've I've literally responded to people saying no to working with me for specific programs or even just in that specific time period, and then celebrating their no and telling them, like, I celebrate you for coming to that decision. Like, I love that for you and I respect that for you. And that's amazing. And if there is a time where we come together and that's aligned for us, then I will be so excited for that as well. But also, like, I respect and understand your sacred no. And I've had literally people respond and be like, I'm literally in tears right now by the way that you've just responded to my no and
Hmm.
held space for like my decision making.
Yeah.
Right. And then also like someone can be a no for right now, but then we don't let that energy deplete us. We take that energy and off the back of it, we alchemize it. We go on live, we go on stories, we talk about how much we love this program that we're launching, and we get to source all of this energy and inspiration that the same person can literally be like, wait, I changed my mind. Okay, I want to be a part of this, right?
Hmm.
Or we end up attracting another person who wasn't even thinking about the program at all, and then jumps in, sees the stories, feels the energy, is pulled in, and then pays in full.
Hmm.
Right? There's so much we can do by just learning to process our emotions and then alchemizing it into power, into magnetism, and getting what we desire. It's like
Yeah.
all from our internal emotion feeling state.
Yeah. And I think from everything you just touched on, it also plays onto just like a deep trust
Hmm.
within yourself, your business, and then also just the energies and the people that you're calling in
Yeah.
who are even deciding to maybe not be a part of it, but that's also trust within itself of the energies
Mm-hmm.
and who's coming in at the right time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, surrendering to that.
yeah. And I think it's so hard. It's so hard to trust, especially like it doesn't matter what stage of your business, I think. Like
Yeah.
there's always like I don't know, you tell me, there's always like not always, but there sometimes where it's still like, is this the right thing to do? Or like there is there any little like voice that still pops up sometimes?
In terms of what specifically? Like anything?
Um, just like where the vision or direction of things are going, I guess. Or can you always hold that belief?
I can always hold it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do, but it wavers, right? It's
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like, but it's not so much like my calling and my vision. I feel like that's always very clear. For me, it's more so like how to go about it.
Mm.
So it's like I always believe that like this is my calling, like absolutely 100%. I know that for a fact. But then for me, it's like where I really desire to trust and surrender deeper is like the way that it's going to come about
How
or
to
the
get there? Mm.
timeline,
Yeah.
right? It's like what exactly do I do? Do I do this or do I do that? And so for me, I've gotten a lot better at learning to just like listen to the nudges and then make quick
Mm.
decisions. I think that's one of the biggest things that for all the entrepreneurs listening is like not just sitting on something and sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting
Yeah.
on it and sitting on it, like take quick action and bounce back up faster. And I think processing your emotions helps with
Yes.
that, right? You don't bounce back up before you've processed your emotions. That just creates more suppressed emotions. You process your emotions and then you let yourself feel it and do what you need to do. And then you get back up and you're like, okay, what do I need to evaluate? What do I need to experiment with? What do I need to play with? Right. And I do think that I do think that the trust becomes easier over time
Mm.
because it just kind of like it shapes itself more. But then I also think there's a layer of this where you're also always evolving,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like when you get to a certain level of like certainty, it like shifts again because now you're a different person again. Some things happen in your life where you're not the same person that you were. You're not the same person that you were a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am not the same person I was. I don't even think we were the same person we were like this earlier this week, right? Because there's just we're constantly, and as women, we're always cycling,
Yeah.
right? So I do think that there's always a test of trust and surrender, especially when it comes to the evolutions of entrepreneurship. But I do think that I have gotten really good, like just speaking for myself over the years. It's been
Yeah.
almost 5 years now in business, and I've gone through so much, including creating over $1 million of sales revenue, right? And now I have a team that works for me. I have my assistant, I have an accountant, right? I have like these contractors that work for me. I have hundreds, thousands probably at this point of clients that I've served. I do think that there is a level of learning where your unique abilities and magic is, and then a level of like leaning into the uncertainty sometimes and
Mm.
letting that kind of lead you. Because also, if we always know, then that's not fun either,
Mm.
right? It's like being okay with the uncertainty and
Mm.
being okay with being shown the path, which is also why it's so important to be connected to some sense of higher power, right? God, the universe, the spirit of your business, the work that you're meant to be doing, your soul's calling. So it's not necessarily trusting. I mean, it's obviously, yes, trusting myself, but it's also trusting that like I'm being divinely guided
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's really important to highlight is like the learning to be okay with the uncertainty
Yeah.
is really big.
Yeah.
Because I have a deep trouble with not having control or
Mm,
knowing, like you were saying, the timeline,
yeah.
how it's gonna happen, and things like that. And I'm sure um quite a few people probably resonate with just uncertainty because that's actually
Yeah.
what happens in our brain. We don't
Yeah.
like it when there's no answer because it means like danger.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just getting comfortable with uncertainty,
Yeah.
even just like with your business or when it's going to manifest, the timeline, how
Yeah.
it's going to get there. Um, and that really weaves into, like you saying, with processing your emotions within that moment so that you
Hmm.
can start to move forward. So you're not just stuck in there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really where we get to create our own level of security, our own level of safety from within. And I think that uncertainty is a need. It's one of our needs as a human. If there's too much certainty, we're fucking bored. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want a relationship that is that much certainty, right? We don't want things in our life that are that certain. Like I do think that there's a kinky part of us that loves uncertainty. I think that's why we go into entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or else, like, who would be crazy enough to do something so fucking wild to where you are not promised an income every single month? You are not promised the same amount of income every single month. You are not promised clients. You are not promised success. You are going to go out and create it all. So, as entrepreneurs, we're some kinky motherfuckers, right? Like, we love the uncertainty. Even though we think that we hate it, we love it because it's actually what drives us to create and to create something
Yeah.
we desire,
Yeah.
right? So leaning into that.
It's like we like the roller coaster.
Yeah,
Like I like the toxicity
we
of
like
this.
the ride. Yeah.
Like I like knowing, like I like not knowing what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I've seen these posts on Instagram or whatever, and it's saying that entrepreneurs are really a special type of crazy. Because they really are. Like,
Yeah, we are.
and we talk about this a lot, that we have a lot of friends and in our space who are entrepreneurs, so
Yeah.
we've normalized it a lot. But
Yeah.
there will be for sure people who listen to this who have not started their journey yet or are just starting.
Hmm.
And it's just a good reminder to share that, like, it is not a common thing that you see in many people's
It's
lives,
true.
but we've become so
Forget
accustomed to
about
it.
that.
Yeah, we become so accustomed to it. And we actually do it purposefully, so we believe that we can achieve it. Because if we think it's really hard and it's like, oh, that's that what they can do, I can't do that, it's going to be harder for us to
For
obtain
sure.
that. So we have to normalize it, that, oh, sure, I could be successful. Sure, I can create this business. Sure, I can create financial freedom, time freedom. Or else it's like, then I won't believe it.
Yeah.
But on a certain level, many people, it's not within their frame to see it.
Yeah, or you want it, but you're afraid everything in your life is going to change
Mm-hmm.
because you desire it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to leave your job. Your friends, you might lose some friends. Your
Mm-hmm.
family might not understand what you're doing, right? It's like, yeah, it is crazy. It is a level of delusion to be an entrepreneur, to trust yourself, to work on yourself. I truly think that entrepreneurs are some of the most intelligent, not just intellectually, but because you're always working, you have to work on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or else your business is going to become stale and stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly working on yourself. You have a beautiful sense of self because there has to be a level of that internal growth, right? On some level. And we desire that. We know as entrepreneurs, we don't just want to get to one place and then feel content there. Like we want to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, yeah, I do think that it's so important to fall back on like being able to create that trust and that surrender and knowing that like there is certainty in the uncertainty if you
Mm.
desire to
Mm-hmm.
lean in.
Yeah, yeah. One other question I wanted to ask was, how do you use your emotions to manifest results in your business and the business that you've created?
Yeah. So, I actually think that the feeling state is the most powerful part of manifestation. You see
Yes.
all this shit on TikTok, write it out 3 times a day, 6 times a day, write out this whole list, do all these things. It's like really, I mean, you can stand in the mirror and repeat to yourself, like, I'm a money magnet, like a robot, like 100 times a day. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're not actually feeling what it would feel like to be a money magnet and to make the desired money that you desire, if you don't actually ever feel that in your body, it's not doing anything, right? Or it's doing very, very little. And there's a way to speed up the process and collapse time, and that is through your emotions, right? Because essentially, think of it, everything is vibration, everything is energy. When we look at anything down to its core, it has a frequency. So the thing you desire also has a frequency. And the universe, guess what? Doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak Cantonese. That's my other language, right? It doesn't speak Spanish. It doesn't speak any other language language other than frequency. The universe only speaks in frequency. So, in order to communicate with the universe, your energetic emotional state is how you communicate, right? It is literally like waves. Like, think of a radio. You tune into a certain channel, you receive the frequency, and then you start listening to the music, or you listen to your talk show, or whatever you want to listen to, right? So, it's the same thing when you are manifesting something. It's like you're placing an order with the universe by getting to that state. If you've ever heard the phrase live as if, it's not so that you go and spend thousands of dollars that you don't have. It is so that you can get in a state of identity and being where you are able to envision and be that version of yourself that you're not quite there yet now, but you step into through your feeling state. We do this through clothes. We do this through makeup. We do this through putting ourselves in environments that stretch us, like masterminds and group programs, right? Nicole and I have both invested ourselves a lot into supportive environments, live events, even different spiritual circles and events, right? Being in places, doing the things and feeling the way that you desire to feel as your desired future self would. And while you're feeling those things, you're calibrating. You are now calibrating to this higher level of being. And now the universe is like, oh shit, she's like really putting her like she's walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And that's why I believe so deeply in investing, right? Is like you are energetically investing, I believe, the transformations in the transaction, right? And so when you're investing your first 4 figures, 5 figures into a coach, into a program, into a mastermind, you are literally showing the universe, like, oh, I'm moving. And when you move, the universe moves, right? And sometimes it takes having to like put yourself up against the edge and get yourself in that feeling state that's going to activate you a little bit to be like, okay, this is what I'm creating and this is how I'm desiring to feel. And I'm going to choose to feel it right now to call it in to get myself closer to that future desired vision.
Yeah, so good. And even for those of y'all who are listening, I'm sure, like I did, I'm sure you did too, Tiff, like at the very beginning, like it's not like the first day I was like, I'm gonna start doing this shit. I like put out 4 figures like that day. Like
Yeah.
it started slow.
Yeah.
So even just listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
right? Reading books, listening to books, going on YouTube, like ingesting all those little things to even build that confidence and start energetically aligning. And then once you're there, like having the belief and yeah, having the belief like, oh, I'm gonna invest and this is gonna come back tenfold.
Yeah.
So even just starting off there is amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, this even goes back to how you were talking about like everything speaking in frequency. And it goes back to our emotions and like how logically we might be thinking something and we're trying to calm ourselves down, but our body is not feeling it. I always like to say like our body and our mind are talking different languages. So how we're saying that same thing, it's like having them connect. It's the same concept with like having your vibration and your energy connect with everything else that you're wanting within your life too.
Yeah.
I feel like those are really just like a good analogy to compare.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And also like, you know that we can just call in emotions and
Yes.
sensations anytime we want, right? So like in the morning and at night when our brain is the most moldable, before I even open my eyes, I know I'm awake or waking up. I don't even open my eyes. I don't check my phone. If I can, I will lay there for a couple moments and just envision the things I desire happening and then feeling it in my body. So my eyes are closed. I'm literally laying in bed. I'm not doing anything but laying there. And yet I'm envisioning myself with, the 3 new clients, someone paid in full. I'm on this vacation in Greece or whatever. I am happy be with the soulmate that I've manifested, and I feel those feelings in my body, right? I get clear on what the emotions are, because those emotions are going to be different for everyone. You might feel like safe and at ease, and for me it's like luxurious and activated and excited, right? And joyful. So however those things might feel in my body, for you maybe it's in your chest or your throat area. For me, I often feel it in my sacral, right? It's lit up. My womb space is lit up. I'm a sacral generator, right? It's like literally my fire. Like that is my fire. If my generator is lit up, if my sacral is lit up, like I feel good, right? And we're the most magnetic when we feel good. So if you can go out of your way and call that in the morning, at night, in experiences, right? If you want to go and manifest like your next $10,000, and the feeling you would feel when the money comes in is, let's just say, safe, go out and do things that make you feel safe right now. What makes you feel safe? Right? Or what makes you feel expanded? Go and do those things right now, right? It's our job to be inspired. It's no one else's job to inspire us. It's no one else's job to make us feel these things other than us.
Yeah.
So it's our responsibility to be able to step into that state and be able to call that in. Like we can, the possibilities are literally limitless. They're so infinite when you play with frequency and energy and the quantum.
Yeah. So I even think like I talked about this before in a other episode, and this was something really helpful for me in the beginning of my journey, and I still use it sometimes, especially we're talking about emotions, and a lot of us weren't taught how to feel our emotions or what emotions are. So using even like the emotion wheel, I remember I was like in shock when I found it. I was like, these are all the emotions I can feel. Usually it's just like good or bad, right? So I think getting really clear on the emotions, you said, like for me, it might mean something else. And for Tiffany, it might mean something else. And for you, it'll mean something else. So getting clear on the emotion that you want to feel, like she said, and seeing what you could do right now to feel those emotions so you can get aligned, right? And how you were talking about like waking up or right before you go to bed, like feeling, visualizing, seeing, thinking about what you want and how that feels. I know like when I first started, it was like that seems really difficult and challenging, but I want to like highlight that a lot of us do that with shit that we don't want to feel.
Yeah.
Like we'll wake up or before we go to bed, we're like thinking about something that happened earlier or something in our business or something in our relationship or something in life. And you're like sitting there, sitting in the sulk, sitting in the anxiety, sitting in the sadness, and you're thinking about it. You're like literally visualizing it, and then you feel like shit, right? This is the exact opposite of that. And it's just going to take some time and practice and training, but it's the same concept. But instead of this hurting you, it's actually helping you and propelling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like and we have to do that conscious rewiring, right? Because when we wake up in the morning, we're like, shit, all the things we have to do today. Now I have to go worry about this. Oh, this thing happened yesterday. I'm still upset about it. Or like, and it's like, that is where we really get to lean into the processing of the emotions, right? But it's also like, we get to just acknowledge like where exactly we are in terms of like what it is that we want to call in, right? Like, where are we? And just like I mentioned before, like, where are we? What are we currently experiencing? And then what do we desire to call in, right? Like, we get to have a conscious control over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add or share before we kind of wrap up?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the last thing I just want to leave you with is like, you have so much power, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and assume a lot of the people listening to this podcast are women. And as women, so many of us have been oppressed and repressed from our pleasure and our desires, especially as women of color, for centuries. This is not just us, this is our lineage, this is our ancestors, this is everybody who has come before us, right? And so we have been taught to be misinformed and oppressed and kept small because it has benefited society. It has benefited men and different systems and corporations, right? And so your source of your shame, of the taboos that you experience is actually the source of your greatest power.
Mm.
And if you are able to, I call it in my world taboo alchemy, if you're able to alchemize the taboos, if you're able to take that shame and alchemize it into power, you stop living as this repressed version of yourself and you start living as the most unapologetic, powerful, most magnetic version of you, right? It is not some crazy formula or things that only some people can do and you can't.
Mm.
You have every single ability to manifest the life of your dreams as anybody else. And it starts with your emotions and your feeling state and your ability to rewire the narratives that are happening inside your brain. And you're so capable. And not only that, you aren't just the manifester, you're also being manifested. How would you show up knowing you're being manifested by your clients? Money is manifesting coming towards you because you're such a great steward of money, right? All the things you desire are manifesting you because when you are an energetic match and you and your manifestation come together, the vibration of the world rises.
Mm.
You don't just want something for the sake of wanting it. You want something because there's something behind it that you're feeling called towards that is going to serve the planet in some way. So lean into that, lean into your taboos, lean into your power, and yeah, you're so powerful, you're so limitless.
That motherfucking part. Fuck. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like we could do another podcast. We could just come on here and just
Yeah, just
talk
a riff.
because
Yeah.
we be doing that. Me and
Yeah.
Tiffany be doing that. So, yeah, I feel like this was really good for us just to kind of put our thoughts and just share it with everyone. I know you have so much knowledge to share,
Yeah.
just from, your business and just your whole life. So thank you so much. Can you let everyone
Thank
know where they
you.
can find you and what you're offering right now?
Yes, yeah. So please send me a DM on Instagram. I love getting messages. I love and do my best to respond to all of them. And it always makes me really happy to hear what takeaways or wins may have come through something I've shared. So Instagram is definitely the best place for that. I'm on Instagram at tiffanychung.co. That's TiffanyChung.co. And right now, the best way to work with me for my entrepreneurs that already have an established business, you already have an offer or offers, you've already been working with clients, and you're desiring that next step, you're desiring to break through your threshold into your next income range, your next way of being, your next evolution, the dream product suite that you desire, the dream movement that you want to build and step into. My mastermind, Magic Mind, is a beautiful year-long container where I get to support you really deeply, my eyes and ears inside your business, inside where you are growing and expanding, not just through marketing and sales and messaging and offer creation and recurring revenue. All of that is really juicy stuff, but also through the inner healing work, the emotion work, just like we talked about today,
Mhm.
regulating your nervous system, your magnetism, your identity, your relationships, your intimacy, your pleasure. All of these things come hand in hand. And we don't compartmentalize here as CEOs. They all come together. So that's the work I do in my highest kind of level, closest small group container, and that's Magic Mind Mastermind. So if you're feeling the pull to work together or you are feeling called into my work, DM me, we'll have a conversation, and more than happy to guide you into what feels most aligned. And would also just love to hear takeaways and any energetic shifts that you've gotten through this episode.
Yeah. Yay. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Tiff.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. And I'll see y'all soon.
Bye.